am Judge Becky Doherty. I am the drug court judge. I am a common pleas judge in Portage County. I have been for almost 4 years. I started our drug court in connection with the folks I'm going to introduce you to here in a few minutes because we obviously saw the need to have a more intensive program that addicts, whether it's meth, heroin, could participate in. And it has been my happy place. We heard a lot earlier, a lot of negatives about prevention and things that don't work. I am here to tell you that our drug court is so successful and we are thrilled to be part of it. I'm going to introduce you to Kayla Miller here in a few minutes. I'm going to have her talk too. She is soon to be one of our drug court graduates. But I also want to let you know how integral the court system is in recovery. And that's what I'm going to talk to you about here with Hope Court. All right, Portage County Hope Court. Let's see if I can get this to work. This actually is kind of our logo. It was designed by one of our drug court graduates, actually. She's very artistic, and she has designed this logo, and we actually put that on all of our graduation certificates. Drug court obviously, or HOPE, obviously stands for Help, Opportunity, Progress Through Education. We are certified through the Supreme Court of Ohio as a specialized docket, which means that we have things that we have to do as required by the Supreme Court, but generally the Supreme Court gives us a lot of leeway in terms of how we deal with our folks, how we deal with sanctions, etc. There are some guidelines, but quite frankly, we adapt pretty much every week. We adapt to what's going on with our drug court participants, what's going on in their lives, so we kind of have learned to adapt. We have 2 tracks, and I think this is really important for people to know. The first track is, I'll describe to you, as the intervention and elude track. If someone is charged with a felony drug possession or something related, even if it's a theft offense that is related to drugs, etc., if it is a felony offense that is eligible for ILC, which means they are eligible, if they complete our program in drug court, to have their felony dismissed at the end of the program. So not everybody who comes into court charged with a felony is going to walk out with a felony conviction. They participate in our program, or at probation we also have an intervention and elude track, which you could ultimately have your felony dismissed as well if you complete the program. But in drug court, we have the ILC track, which means that they can ultimately have if they complete drug court, they can have their felony dismissed. The other track is post-conviction, and that's really important as well to understand. Not everyone who's in our drug court is a first offender. We have folks who have numerous prior felonies, but that doesn't mean that they are not open and eligible for our program. What we do is a very intensive, accountability-driven program. So whether you have 10 felonies before or no felonies before, if you are willing and you want to participate in this program, you are eligible. We have obviously some charges, some offenses that are not eligible, one of them being a sex offense. OBIs cannot be eligible. Now, if it's in connection with another felony offense, that is possible. But generally, if you have an OBI, you are not eligible for any kind of expungement later anyway because it's used to enhance another OBI. Sex offenses, obviously, there are some violent crimes that we don't allow to be in drug court, but by and large, we allow folks who are willing to participate and accept the intensive program that we provide. The offense does have to be probationable, meaning it can't be something that you would automatically serve a mandatory prison term for, etc. But we obviously leave those folks out. Sometimes we do have, many times we do have dual diagnosis offenders, and that's not a prohibition, obviously, to enter drug court. It just means that we have additional programming that we have to provide. There are requirements, obviously, that are provided to us by the Supreme Court in terms of who is able to participate. That means you have to have a moderate to severe substance abuse disorder, you have to have a history of disorder, and we have folks who go through all of that with them to make sure that they are eligible. But, like I said, if you're willing to participate in our program and you have an issue that obviously could be addressed by the type of programming, the accountability that we provide, you certainly would be able to join our group. You have to be competent, obviously. You have a lot of issues. I do in front of me with folks who are not competent to stand trial because of mental health issues. Obviously, you have to be able to work with us and work with your providers. Referrals. Generally, I can tell you, I probably make most of the referrals. If I have somebody in front of me, especially someone who is a repeat offender, somebody that I see that is just not getting it, they're just not participating in the court-ordered programs that they need to be, or they have a history of substance abuse and have not really been in any type of accountability-driven program. If I see them in front of me, I will refer them to Teresa, and I'll introduce all my folks in a minute. I will refer them to Teresa and have her do an assessment on them. We do get referrals from defense attorneys if they've represented somebody that they think would benefit from the program, obviously. We have referrals from probation. If one of our probation officers has seen somebody or has somebody in their group that they think would benefit, they certainly can refer them. Referrals really come from a number of places. Our treatment team, I don't know where Cheryl is. We have Cheryl Roth from Compass. I just saw Cheryl. She's back there. All right. We have Brad Price, Dr. Price from Town Hall 2. Teresa Spiker is our coordinator. She puts everything together, keeps us all on track. She's from our probation department. Dina Tanner and Carly Whiteley are the two probation officers that are specifically assigned. They have their own docket as well, but they are specifically assigned to drug court, and they deal with our folks on a day-to-day basis. Matt Gillespie, he is our newest probation officer, and we are particularly proud. I'm proud of all of them, but I'm particularly proud that we have Matt. Matt is in recovery. Matt has been for 15 years, I believe. Matt is the first probation officer in the state of Ohio to have prior felony convictions. And I only point that out because felonies are not a prohibition. Felony convictions are not a prohibition to have a great life. Matt is living proof of that. Matt is somebody who can really relate to these folks on a level that maybe the probation officers and myself cannot. He's been there, he's done that. He knows what it takes to stay in recovery, and he is such a valuable asset to us, and we're really, really proud that we have him, because we can see already the impact that he's having on these folks. And he is an actual probation officer. He has a badge. He's one of our probation officers, but he also has that dual role of the ability to relate and be a peer recovery person for the folks who are participating in drug court, as well as some of the folks who are on probation. So that is our team, and Deo. Deo, I'm sure you've all seen Deo up here. Deo is our dog. Deo is our therapy dog. He is actually certified. He participates in all of our drug court sessions. He's always there to offer assistance. We have a lot of kids who come to drug court every Thursday. He's a big help with them. He, quite frankly, the reason he's called a therapy dog is just that, because he is a source of comfort, and that's why we have him. We meet every week. Our drug court meets every Thursday. That doesn't mean that every participant meets every Thursday, because they are in different phases, and I'll talk to you about that. It is a 16-month program. There are 4 phases. As the phases progress, obviously there are less times that you have to come in front of me, but you're at least there almost every third, or you're there every Thursday at the outset for the first phase, and then the second phase they come every other week, and so on. All the participants are required to not only come to court every week, be involved in IOP, whether at Town Hall 2 or Compass. They have individual counseling. IOP is going to be 3 times a week, 3-hour sessions. They are also required to attend a minimum of 3 12-step meetings per week. They are required to obtain a sponsor and a home group. There are obviously very strict rules in terms of what we have these folks do. And what we've learned is, again, we do morph some of our rules as time goes on to best deal with the folks and their issues as they come up. But by and large, these are this is the basis of our participation. They are drug tested at least twice weekly, and I can tell you, and I think Kayla might touch on it too, the people that we have participating in drug court really have become a family to each other, a family to us. We know everything that goes on with them at any given time of day. We are all up in their business. I tell them that all the time, but it's true. There's a reason that we are. We want to be that safety net. We want to be there when something does crash in their lives. We want to be there when they get their kids back. We want to be there when they get a job, but we also want to be there when things don't go so well and when they have issues. So that they really have gotten to be a group that is beneficial to each other, and they teach us things every day. Obviously, some of our folks are enrolled in medically assisted treatment, whether it's Vivitrol, Subutex, Suboxone. The Supreme Court guidelines certainly don't prohibit anyone from participating in that, whether involved in a drug court. And I would let you know too, I think there's maybe 2 counties in our entire state that does not have some kind of a drug court, whether it's a kind of an official one or an unofficial one. Most counties do try to, have now tried to incorporate some kind of a drug court program within the court system. A lot of counties aren't big enough really to do it, but they have kind of at least been able to fashion something that is somewhat like a drug court. We have been very fortunate because we have such a great probation department, and they have all been so willing and so prominent in making sure that our drug court runs effectively, runs efficiently, and is providing the treatment and the guidance that everyone needs. We do monitor, obviously, if someone is in a medically assisted treatment program, we monitor them, make sure that substance is not being abused, especially if it's Subutex or Suboxone, and they are tested routinely, and we obviously have to be aware of all the things that they're doing. There are sanctions, and there are kind of graduated sanctions. There's a sanction of 3 days in jail for a first offense, 5 days if they don't admit to the use if it's discovered afterwards, and then there are graduated sanctions. The court system, and I'm sure all of you who are treatment providers or work in any way with addiction realize that the court system has become, whether it was intended to or not, an integral part of recovery. I am going to talk to you a little bit about issue 1 because it is has such a impact on drug court especially. My drug court will not exist if issue 1 passes. I will not have anyone in front of me to put into drug court. So I'll talk to you about that a little bit, and it is a scary proposition for me, especially in light of the good work that we have done and the graduates that we have and the folks that, like Kayla, who are going to talk to you today. Deo, I already introduced Deo, but he is obviously an integral part of our program as well. Deo does come to court every week. He is absolutely a source of comfort for everyone. We have had 2 graduations so far. We have intentionally, and we will keep doing it, making a huge deal out of this graduation. These folks have gone through so much to get to that point. And I can tell you that at the end of the day, they have jobs, they have their kids back, they are living clean and sober lives, they have started their own meetings, as Kayla will tell you as soon as I let her talk. It's a very positive group, and they all are there to support each other. We have some of our girls back here now too that are here to support Kayla. I cannot emphasize enough how the folks that we have working in drug court are really the reason that we have such a great program. They care about these kids. They care about what they do every day. They care that they have people in their corner telling them how smart, how intelligent they are, what good parents they are when given the opportunity to be. We are all about positive. That does not mean that some folks don't take advantage of this program. It doesn't mean that sometimes it's just not working for them, and there are other things that I have to do to make sure that they stay clean and that they stay alive. And that may include incarceration. It may include, at some point, sending them to prison. But there is a reason that drugs such as fentanyl, heroin, meth, cocaine, there's a reason that they are felony. It's a felony to possess them. They are dangerous. They're dangerous to the user, they're dangerous to the first responders, they're dangerous to their family, they're dangerous to their children, they're dangerous to nurses and doctors who are treating them. And what issue 1 proposes, and what issue 1 will do, it will be a constitutional amendment to our state constitution that would make felony possession of drugs, all of those drugs. We're not talking about marijuana. We're only talking about heroin, fentanyl, cocaine, meth. It will make possession of all of those drugs misdemeanors. equivalent to a traffic offense. That means I will not have any of those folks in front of me. I have about 600 criminal cases right now. And at any given time, I have 600 criminal cases. If people went into treatment voluntarily, I wouldn't have a quarter of those people in front of me. We know, and having worked in the system for 27 years that I have, it's an unfortunate fact, but unless you are court ordered, unless you are in a situation where you are in front of a judge, I mean, we've heard that today. It's not a situation where I immediately, when I get a felony offense in front of me, a drug possession, legally, I cannot send that person to prison. That's the way the law is. I cannot send them to prison. So it's a misrepresentation for anybody who is a proponent of issue 1 to say that that is what happens. That is absolutely not what happens. I get them treatment. Every judge across this state has treatment programs at their, in their communities that they can send people to. And that, unfortunately, sometimes is the incentive that folks need to get the treatment and to stay in treatment. If there is no consequence, they're going to walk away most of the time. And families will suffer, and people who rely on the fact that their loved one is now in a situation where they can get help, they can stay in jail long enough to get their head clear. That all will change if issue 1 passes. Obviously, I am the judge in drug court. We have our coordinator, Teresa Spiker, if you have any questions. I don't know how long I've talked, but I do want to touch on a couple of things before I stop and introduce Kayla. How many of you are in some way involved in the court system, whether it's as a treatment provider who receives referrals, etc.? Almost everybody in here, so many of you. I want you to think about it before you decide on what you're going to do with issue 1 in terms of voting, because it is something that is terrifying to me to think that we won't have drug court anymore. It is terrifying to me to think that the proponents of issue 1 are advocating to empty the prisons but fill the morgues, because that is exactly what is going to happen. And I'm very disturbed by the commercials, especially that I see on TV by treatment agencies advocating for the passage of issue 1, because the reality is there isn't that much money at the end of the rainbow. We have great treatment agencies in Portage County and in every county. We have Town Hall 2, Compass, etc. We have all these great facilities and options for treatment, but it is getting people there. And that's what I want to have Kayla talk to you about, her journey and how integral the court system has been in her journey. And if issue 1 were to pass, all of that would be gone. And the other, there were some things hidden in there that folks don't know. Anyone who is in prison right now for a violent felony, other than murder or rape, it could be aggravated robbery, aggravated burglary, domestic violence, etc., felonious assault, they will be immediately eligible if this passes for a 25% reduction in their prison sentence without the input of any judge anywhere. Kayla Miller, we are so proud of. She is soon to be one of our drug court graduates, and she's the reason that we do this. Her and my other kids are the reason that we put so much energy into this, because they are worth saving. They are worth every minute that we spend on them, and we have reinforced that every day. All right?
Hello everyone, my name is Kayla Miller. As Judge has stated, I'm going to just give you a little shortened story of what brought me to drug court and what drug court has done for my life. So, my name is Kayla Miller. Like I said, I'm 29 years old and I was born and raised in Ravenna, Ohio. Growing up, I had 2 older sisters. I was a very caring and loving child. I always knew I wanted to do something in my life to help people or to change the world in some type of way. I was also very involved in sports growing up. I'm the youngest child of 3, like I said. My mother and father provided an awesome childhood for me and my sister. We had everything we needed and most of everything we wanted as well. I have absolutely no reason to blame my poor decision making for so many years on having a bad childhood. But let me fast forward to when things got a little complicated in life for me. I was barely 18, and like so many others, I thought I was grown. I wanted to do what I wanted, when I wanted, how I wanted, and that's just what I did. I was drinking alcohol one night at a bar underage. I broke my foot intoxicated, falling down the only 3 steps that was in the bar. When I went to the hospital the next day, they told me that my foot was broken and they sent me home with a prescription of Percocet. They also referred me to a bone specialist doctor who would continue to hand out this painkiller like it was nothing. It didn't take me long to get addicted to this, and just in a short time of about 6 to 8 months, I couldn't function through a full day without using some type of opiate. And it was then when my doctor wasn't hearing any more of my excuses about, oh, my dad cleaned my car out and threw my prescription away and I need another one. He finally cut me off, and so I started buying prescription pills off the street. This went on for some years until I discovered something that was way easier to find, way cheaper, and quite frankly, it got me higher. This was heroin. It took me down roads that I said I'd never go, made me do things I didn't even know I was capable of doing. It made me lie, steal, manipulate from those who cared and loved me the most. I manipulated my poor parents for so long and took advantage of the fact that they were so ignorant and naive to this horrible drug. They would do almost anything, and I mean anything, to get their sweet loving daughter that they once knew back. I lied and conned and stole from anyone who got in my path. I burnt bridges with just about everyone who ever cared for me. But the worst thing about it all was I stole my parents' peace of mind. I robbed them of not only any material things I could get my hands on, but of many sleepless nights in the comfort out of their own home. This went on for a few years, and eventually I did start facing some consequences for my actions. I still didn't care though. I wasn't ready to stop. At this point, I didn't know how to stop. I always said at least I wasn't shooting up though, until the day came where that just became a quicker way for me to get out of me, a quicker way to avoid all the shame, guilt, and remorse I now had for all the horrible things I had done in my addiction. The day came where I took it too far. I had robbed my family for the last time, and they were fed up. My dad called the police and filed charges against me, and I ended up with the F2 burglary charge, and was now dodging the police with a felony warrant out for my arrest. When I finally got picked up for this charge months later, I knew I was going to jail, but a part of me was like very relieved because I was just tired. I was mentally, emotionally, I was physically drained in every aspect of the word. I sat in jail this time for about a month when Judge Doherty kept pushing my court date back. And I'm like, why is she doing this? Like, what? I don't understand. But it all came full circle eventually. When I finally did get to court, I got my felony 2 dropped to a felony 5 theft. I had made up in my mind I was just going to ask Judge Doherty to send me to prison, where I could serve out my time and be done with probation. God had other plans for me though. 2 weeks into being in jail, I found out I was pregnant. I've always wanted a child, but at this time, I wasn't sure I could even handle that responsibility. I was confused and emotional, and finally feeling all those feelings I tried for so long to cover up with drugs. It was when I came into Judge Doherty's courtroom that I begged for her to send me to treatment. On that day, she took a chance on me. She sent me to the Horizon House for 90 days where I could finally start working on myself. I completed Horizon House. When I successfully completed it, Judge entered me into the HOPE drug court program. And even though I completed that program, I wasn't sure about this because I had heard so many things and how she said they're all up in your business about everything. That's no lie. Like finding out things like, but it was good for me because at this point in my life, I had no accountability. I had no responsibilities. I was just so lost. So I needed that, and the Horizon House had kind of prepared me for a little structure and a little accountability. So I said yes, not knowing if this was really what I wanted or not, but I kind of just dove in head first and kind of just gave it all I had. I mean, I had been in other treatments before and detoxes, but not one time was I wholeheartedly really trying, really giving it my all. So this time I thought, you know, why not? If it works, it works. If not, I'm in the same boat, you know. Judge honestly saved my life and the life of my unborn child. And it was then that I realized that this was the best thing that had ever happened to me. This was like no other program that I had been in before. And trust me when I tell you I had tried many through the course of my addiction. Judge and the probation team and everybody at Compass, Cheryl, John, Carl, and now Matt Gillespie, let me help you out. They are just amazing. They have set this program up to fully understand that recovery is possible, but not only that, they push you to exceed your maximum potential in life. The cool part is that they know there are going to be bumps along the road, and instead of shunning you and writing you off after one mistake, they're understanding and they build you back up to try again. Like Judge said, we're so close knit. She just refers to us as her kids, which is really cool. I mean, she genuinely cares about us, like in such a intimate way. Like it's just amazing to me. So they tell you when you're messing up, but they also praise you when you're doing well. This program has given me my life back. And if it wasn't for Judge, Carly, Dina, Teresa, everyone at Compass, and now Matt, I'm not sure where I would be in life. Maybe that same lost girl on the streets. Today I have a job, a driver's license, after 7 years, a car, and a peace of mind. I've also started my own AA meeting, all women's AA meeting in Ravenna, which is something I never thought I would do. But much more importantly than material things, my parents can sleep at night. They have peace every day. And I have a little boy today who looks at me like I'm his whole world. And he loves me unconditionally. That's the greatest thing that this program has done for me. It has allowed me to call myself a mother, and a good one, that gets to be present every single day of my son's life. This program has turned my life completely around, and each and every one who is involved in the drug court team has given me hope and support and showed me what the true meaning of love and family is. And I'm very blessed to be a part of this program. Thank you.